Your debt is not a mistake you made. It is a subscription you were enrolled in before you were old enough to read the terms of service. Every month, the money is pulled automatically. You don't remember signing up, and you don't know how to cancel. Every time you try to unsubscribe, the penalties hit harder than the monthly payment. As you auto-renew, the platform extracts 21% from your existence. Machiavelli knew exactly who runs this platform. This is not personal finance. This is platform economics. You are not the user. You are the usage. I'm not here to talk about personal finance. Today, we are performing a teardown of a business model, the largest, most profitable, and most ruthless architecture in human history. It currently generates $18.8 trillion in revenue. It has 330 million active subscribers, and it has a near-zero churn rate because it never allows you to cancel. Machiavelli understood the brutal mechanics of this platform 500 years before Silicon Valley invented the word subscription. He called it by its true name, the art of ruling through dependence. But dependence only functions when the victim is tricked into voluntary enrollment. This is the blueprint of poverty as a service. To understand how you got trapped, we have to look at the onboarding process, the exact moment the platform enrolled you, because you didn't choose this subscription. The subscription chose you. Let me walk you through the pricing page of your life. It's time to see the terms you never read. Think about your first debt. Not the credit card, the real first one, the student loan. You were 17, maybe 18. You signed a document you didn't fully understand, for a sum you couldn't fathom, to enter a system that promised you a future. That wasn't education. That was onboarding. In the world of marketing, we call this the enrollment funnel, and your journey through it was meticulously engineered. It started in your childhood. This was the awareness phase. Every teacher, every movie, and every authority figure told you the same story. You must go to university to be someone. That wasn't a piece of life advice. It was a multi-decade advertising campaign. It was designed to create a manufactured need for a product you didn't yet realize you were buying. Then came consideration. You spent your teenage years choosing schools and selecting majors. You thought you were choosing a path to success. In reality, you were just selecting your subscription tier. Then, the moment you turned 18, came conversion. This is where the trap closed. You had no income, you had no assets, you had zero credit history. In any other industry, you would be a high-risk liability that no sane business would touch. But the platform was eager to invest $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in you. Why? Because in this transaction, you were never the customer. You were the product. Signing that loan was the equivalent of clicking accept terms of service on a contract you would spend the next 40 years fulfilling. Student loans aren't a service for you. They are the initial subscription fee you pay for the privilege of entering the labor market. Here is the brutal antithesis. Netflix needs you happy to keep you subscribed. Spotify needs you entertained to keep the revenue flowing. But poverty, SaaS, it needs you desperate. It needs you to feel the weight of the cancellation penalty every single morning. That is the fundamental difference. The platform doesn't thrive on your satisfaction. It thrives on your inability to leave. Let me show you the size of the platform you just enrolled in. If we look at the internal dashboard of poverty as a service, the numbers are chilling. Total platform revenue is currently $18.8 trillion, the highest household debt in history. This isn't a niche market. The subscriber base includes 67% of the entire workforce currently living paycheck to paycheck. These are the monthly active users of the system, and they are the lifeblood of the economy. The average revenue per user, the amount the system expects to extract from you, is roughly $105,000. That is the lifetime value that the platform has assigned to your existence. And the churn rate? It is effectively zero. In a normal business, users leave when the service is poor. In this system, leaving is made a legal and social nightmare. The cancellation penalties, bankruptcy, the total destruction of your credit score, the loss of your shelter, are intentionally designed to be more painful than the monthly subscription fee itself. No platform on earth, not Amazon, not Apple, has a churn rate this low and a profit margin this high, because no other platform uses your survival as its primary feature. Machiavelli taught that the most enduring power doesn't come from violence or fear. It comes from dependence. When the people absolutely need you to survive, you can rule them without ever raising a sword. Poverty as a service is the perfect empire built on that exact Machiavellian formula. You've been told your debt is a personal failure. Look at the dashboard again. $18.8 trillion isn't a collection of individual mistakes. It's a perfectly optimized business model. It is a system that has scaled human desperation into a predictable revenue stream. But a platform this big doesn't run on just one subscription plan. It runs on tiers. And the genius of poverty for SaaS is that each tier was designed for a different stage of your life, so that no matter where you are, there is a plan waiting for you. Let me walk you through the pricing page. Every great SaaS has a freemium model. Poverty SaaS is no different. It starts with what looks like a free trial. It is called education. You get years of access to the campus lifestyle, the social promise, and the dream of a career. But the free trial comes with a mandatory, high-ticket upgrade at the end. That upgrade is called a student loan. This is Tier 1, the entry plan. Think about the onboarding age. You were 17 or 18 years old. Before you were legally old enough to buy a drink or rent a car, the platform allowed you to sign a contract for a sum of money you couldn't even visualize. In any other industry, that would be called predatory lending. In poverty, it's just the standard onboarding procedure. And the lock-in period, it is infinite. Student loans are the only subscription that follows you to the grave. They are virtually impossible to discharge, even through bankruptcy. You aren't actually paying for knowledge. You are paying for a specific feature called access to the labor market, the right to enter the workforce and trade your hours for a survival wage. You paid for a ticket to a game that is already rigged against you. Tier 1 is the gateway drug. It tastes like opportunity. It bills like ownership. But Tier 1 only gets you through the door. Once you are inside the system, the platform upgrades you automatically to the standard plan. Welcome to Tier 2, credit cards. Currently, the subscriber base for this plan is carrying $1.277 trillion in debt, the highest level ever recorded. The monthly fee for this subscription isn't a flat rate. It's an interest rate that currently averages 20.97%. Think about the psychological architecture of that math. You might cancel a streaming service because $15 a month feels like a waste. But the average credit card subscriber carries a balance of nearly $8,000, meaning they are paying roughly $138 every single month, just in interest. That is $138 for the privilege of staying exactly where you are. The platform's most brilliant feature is the auto-renewal mechanism, disguised as the minimum payment. When you pay that $30, you think you are managing your debt. You aren't. You are simply paying the renewal fee to keep the subscription active for another 30 days. The principal barely moves, but the revenue for the platform stays consistent. You cancel your Netflix to save $15, yet you pay 10 times that amount to remain a financial hostage, and you call it responsible credit management. But the platform's true masterpiece is Tier 3. This is the enterprise plan, the mortgage. It is the plan so beautifully packaged, so draped in the flags of social status, that subscribers actually celebrate the day they enroll. They pop champagne. They throw housewarming parties. The platform calls this closing, but in reality, it is the final completion of your onboarding. Consider the contract length: 30 years. No other subscription service on this planet has a lock-in period of 3 decades. If a gym tried to lock you in for 30 years, you would call the police. But for Tier 3, you sign the documents with a smile. Let's look at the actual pricing page. A house priced at $350,000 with a 7% interest rate results in a total payment of $840,000 over the life of the loan. You are paying a subscription fee of nearly $500,000, $490,000, just for the right to say you own a pile of bricks. The terms homeowner, building equity, and the American dream aren't financial milestones. They are marketing copy designed to keep the most productive years of your life subscribed to the platform. Tier 1 makes you a debtor. Tier 2 makes you a payer. Tier 3 makes you a believer. And believers never cancel. But here is the receipt that will dissolve every justification you've ever built for this subscription. Because you've been told that your debt is your fault, that you spent too much, saved too little, and lived beyond your means. The data says something very different. Open your statement, not the total, the line items, the receipts. Because the receipts tell a story the platform never wanted you to read. Open your credit card statement, not the total, the line items, the receipts. Because the receipts tell a story the platform never wanted you to read. Here is the cold mathematical verdict. 73% of credit card balances in the United States do not come from luxury. They don't come from a shopping spree in Paris, a designer watch, or a first-class flight to Bali. They come from survival. They come from the car repair you needed to keep your job. They come from the emergency room visit you couldn't pay for in cash because your high-deductible insurance is just another sub-tier of the platform. They come from the grocery bill that inflates while your wages remain stagnant. They come from the burst pipe in your home. 3/4 of your debt is simply the cost of biological existence, and the platform charges you 21% interest for the privilege of being alive. This is the core feature of poverty, SaaS, survival as a service. You're being billed every 30 days for food, shelter, and basic medical care, not to live well, but simply to remain a functioning unit of the economy. The platform has successfully monetized your basic human needs and then rebranded that bill as personal responsibility. It is the ultimate pricing model. Someone will inevitably tell you that if you just saved more, you wouldn't be in this position. They will tell you to skip the coffee or cancel your Netflix to pay down your balance. This is the marketing content of the platform. It is a distraction. Here is the data they ignore. The average personal savings rate in this country has plummeted to only 4.6%. Meanwhile, 67% of the entire workforce lives paycheck to paycheck, including 44% of those earning over $100,000 a year. This isn't a lack of discipline. It isn't a lack of financial literacy. This is an architecture that has been designed to outpace your income. The narrative that it's your fault isn't advice. It's a hidden clause in the terms of service designed to make you internalize the blame. It makes you look in the mirror with shame instead of looking at the platform with rage. Machiavelli taught that the most effective way to rule is to convince the victims they deserve their punishment. When a prisoner believes their chains are a result of their own personal failure, that prisoner never demands freedom. They don't look for the exit. They just try to be a better and more moral prisoner. They spend their energy managing their subscription instead of canceling it. You are not in debt because you are reckless. You are not in debt because you are bad with money. You are in debt because existence has been made artificially expensive, and the platform is extracting a 21% profit margin on your right to breathe. This is not a personal finance problem that can be solved with a better spreadsheet. It is a predatory pricing model where you are the captive customer in a monopoly that owns the rights to your survival. You aren't foolish. You are being overcharged. Feel that realization for a second. Let that truth dissolve the shame you've been carrying like a weight around your neck. You aren't failing the system. The system is functioning exactly as it was engineered. It is a machine designed to keep you in the standard plan for the entirety of your productive life. It wants your labor, it wants your attention, and it wants your interest. But here is the part that will keep you awake tonight. Because in every SaaS model, there is one simple question that reveals the entire hidden architecture. Who is the customer and who is the product? You've been calling yourself the customer of this system. You thought the platform was built for you. You are not the customer. In the advertising industry, there is a famous maxim. If the product is free, you are the product. In the architecture of poverty SaaS, the maxim is even darker. If the product costs you 21% of your existence, you are both the product and the revenue. For years, you have operated under the delusion that you are the customer of the financial system. You thought the banks were providing you a service, that the lenders were offering you a ladder, and that the credit card companies were giving you a tool for convenience. You were wrong. You are the raw material being harvested. Let's look at the product economics of your life. Credit card companies do not make their real money when you pay your balance in full. In their internal spreadsheets, they call people who pay on time deadbeats. They don't want your discipline. They want your decay. They make their maximum profit when you pay only the minimum. In this model, the minimum payment is the heartbeat of the platform. It is just enough to keep the system running, but never enough to let you escape. Mortgage lenders function the same way. In the early years of Tier 3, almost every dollar you send is front-loaded as interest. You think you are buying a home, but for the first decade, you are simply paying a massive subscription fee for the right to hold the keys. The house doesn't belong to you. You belong to the house's debt schedule. Even student loan servicers are paid based on the number of accounts they manage, not the number of accounts they help close. The system has zero incentive for you to reach zero. In the world of software, we call this lifetime subscriber value. In the world of debt, your lifetime subscriber value is the total amount of interest the platform can extract from your heartbeats before you die. The system is mathematically optimized to keep you paying for as long as possible, not to help you succeed as quickly as possible. This is the brutal antithesis of healthy business. Netflix is optimized to keep you happy. Poverty SaaS is optimized to keep you indebted. Both use algorithms, only the objective is different. But the most ingenious feature of poverty SaaS isn't the pricing, it's the shame engine. Behind the numbers lies the shame algorithm, the psychological lean con that prevents you from ever questioning the architecture. This algorithm operates through two main channels. First, the gamification of obedience, otherwise known as the credit score. You have been trained to feel a sense of pride when you see a score of 780. You treat it like a high score in a video game. But look closer. A high credit score is simply a loyalty rating. It is a badge the platform gives you for being a predictable, reliable subscriber to your own chains. You are proud of your score because it means you are allowed to borrow more, which means you are allowed to subscribe to higher tiers. It is a medal for the prisoner who polishes his bars the best. Second, the platform uses financial literacy as marketing content. Most of the advice you hear about budgeting better or saving for a rainy day is actually just instructions on how to manage your subscription more efficiently. It's Platform Navigation 101. No one teaches you how to cancel the subscription because the people writing the curriculum own the platform. Machiavelli called this ruling by consent. When you make the victim believe the system is fair, you don't need an army to keep them in line. The shame algorithm is the guard inside your own head, telling you that your struggle is a result of your character, rather than a result of the pricing model. You are not the customer of the financial system. You are the product being sold to shareholders. Your monthly payment is the revenue. Your interest rate is the profit margin. Your credit score is the loyalty rating. And that feeling of, I must pay because I am a responsible person, that is the terms of service you have internalized. You aren't managing your debt. Your debt is managing you. The platform is real. The subscription is real. You are the product, not the customer. The question now is one Machiavelli asked every prince who found himself trapped. How do you cancel a subscription that was designed to be uncancelable? Most subscribers in poverty SIAS have a cancellation strategy. It usually sounds like this: I'll pay it off eventually. Let me be blunt. That is not a strategy. That is fortuna. That is the desperate prayer of the captive subscriber, hoping the jailer accidentally leaves the gate unlatched. You are waiting for a free trial to end, but in this architecture, the trial is your existence, and the expiration date is your obsolescence. Think about the variables in your eventually. It depends on your salary never stagnating. It depends on your health never failing. It depends on a global emergency never occurring. It depends on inflation never eating the floor you stand on. Every variable you do not control is just another line of code that triggers the subscription to auto-renew. When you tell yourself eventually, you are essentially asking the platform for permission to leave. But you are the product. What business model in history has ever designed a feature to voluntarily delete its own revenue stream? You might tell yourself, I'll refinance the mortgage when the rates drop. That is fortuna. You are waiting for a central bank, a faceless institution that profits from your dependence, to lower your monthly fee. You might say, I'll cut my expenses and pay the balance. That is fortuna. With a national savings rate of 4% and an interest rate of 21%, the math is a death sentence. You are trying to outrun a bullet while wearing a suit of lead. Here is the cold bucket of water. You have a 10-year plan to escape. The platform has a 30-year plan to keep you. Who do you think the math favors? The system is not broken. It is functioning with terrifying efficiency. It was designed to be uncancelable. It was engineered to keep you in a state of permanent, quiet desperation, trading the only non-renewable asset you possess, your time, for the right to occupy a space in their ecosystem. To cancel, you must stop praying to fortuna and start practicing virtu. Virtu is not paying off debt faster. If you simply work more hours at your corporate job to send more money to the bank, you are still playing on the platform's terms. You have simply become a more productive piece of inventory. Virtu is something much more radical. It is building your own platform, one where you are the owner, not the usage. To cancel this subscription, you must achieve what Machiavelli would recognize as platform inversion. This is the precise moment you stop providing the labor that fuels their revenue and start owning the infrastructure that fuels yours. You need sovereign revenue, cash flow that does not depend on an employer, does not depend on a lender, and cannot be throttled by the platform. You need ghost machinery. This is the invisible infrastructure of your own private empire. The path to the Machiavellian unsubscribe follows 3 cold, calculated steps. First, you must audit the subscription. Stop looking at your total debt. That is a psychological ghost. Start looking at your total subscription burden. This is the exact dollar amount you are forced to pay every single month just to maintain the status quo of your survival. This is the cost of your chains. You must know this number down to the decimal point. This is your enemy. Second, you must build sovereign revenue. You do not try to save your way out of Tier 2 or Tier 3. You build ghost machinery, digital assets, automated systems, or asymmetric investments that generate income independently of your time. Your goal is a simple mathematical equation. Sovereign revenue must equal or exceed your total subscription burden. At that point, the debt may still exist on paper, but it is no longer your master. It is being fed by your own machinery, not by your life force. You haven't paid it off yet, but you have already unsubscribed because the platform can no longer threaten your existence. Third, you execute the platform inversion. This is the moment you move from product to architect. When your sovereign revenue outweighs the burden, you have inverted the power dynamic. The mortgage and the credit card interest become mere line items in your budget, tactical costs rather than existential chains. You are no longer a subscriber. You are the owner of the casino. Machiavelli warned that a prince must never depend on borrowed weapons or the grace of a superior. A prince builds his own arsenal. He owns the machinery. This is the only way to cancel. Every other financial plan is just a request for a slightly larger cage. But you must understand that the platform does not surrender its subscribers without a violent struggle. The moment it detects you building sovereign revenue, the moment your usage pattern starts to deviate from the predicted algorithm, it deploys its re-enrollment protocol. And it is insidiously effective. The platform is about to offer you an upgrade you cannot refuse. But the platform doesn't surrender subscribers without a fight. The moment it detects you building sovereign revenue, the moment your usage pattern starts to deviate from the predicted algorithm, it deploys its re-enrollment protocol. And it is insidiously effective. The first mechanism is the upgrade offer. When you start to reduce your debt or increase your income, the system doesn't celebrate your freedom. It views you as a high-value account at risk of churning. It sends a win-back campaign disguised as an opportunity. A pre-approved credit card with a higher limit. A mortgage refinance with a special introductory rate. A car loan for the vehicle you deserve now that you've succeeded. You think you've been rewarded. In reality, you've just been downgraded to a new free trial. And you already know how free trials end in this ecosystem. Every upgrade is simply a new line of code designed to reset your lock-in period. The second mechanism is lifestyle creep, or what the platform calls the auto-upgrade. As your sovereign revenue grows, the system exerts a quiet, atmospheric pressure on your cost of living. You move to a bigger house, which requires a larger enterprise plan. You lease a newer vehicle, which adds a fresh monthly fee. You move into a better neighborhood, and suddenly your basic cost of existence scales to meet your new income. You haven't canceled the subscription, you've just auto-upgraded to the premium tier. This is the premium dead zone. It looks better. The wallpaper is more expensive. The view is clearer. But it is still a dead zone. Your net position remains the same. You are still a subscriber, just one paying a higher premium for a more comfortable cage. You are still trading your virtue for the platform's convenience. The third mechanism is social re-enrollment. The platform doesn't even need to send you an email for this. It uses your peers as its marketing department. You see your friends buying homes they can't afford. You see your colleagues leasing luxury cars they don't own. You scroll through a social feed filled with the lifestyle the platform tells you that you should have. Social pressure is the retargeting ad of poverty SaaS, and it is the most powerful customer acquisition tool in history. It hits you with the fear of being left behind. It converts you through comparison. In a world where every subscriber agrees that permanent debt is normal, the act of canceling becomes a social deviance. People will call you obsessed. They will call you cheap. They will tell you that everyone has a mortgage. They are the platform's unpaid lobbyists, working to pull you back into the subscriber pool. The platform doesn't need to lock the door if it can convince everyone else in the room that the door shouldn't be opened. Social proof is the cheapest re-enrollment tool in existence. You must realize that their normal is your subscription, and their lifestyle is your lifetime subscriber value. Do not sign up again. But here is the final line of code in the platform's architecture, the one that makes the entire subscription dissolve. You have seen the onboarding, the calculated funnel that enrolled you in a lifetime commitment before you were old enough to comprehend the terms of service. You have seen the 3 tiers: student loans, credit cards, and mortgages. 3 subscriptions designed to capture 3 distinct stages of your existence. You have seen the 73% receipt, the absolute proof that you pay the platform not for excess, but for survival. And finally, you have seen the truth that dissolves the shame. You were never the customer. You are the product. But every platform, no matter how monolithic, hides a button it never wants you to find: the unsubscribe button. And unsubscribing doesn't mean paying off your debt on their terms. That is still participating in their game. The unsubscribe button is platform inversion. It is the cold, calculated moment you cease being the raw material for their revenue and begin operating as the architecture of your own. You are no longer the product. You are the platform. You are no longer the subscriber. You are the architect. You are no longer paying interest on existence. You are collecting revenue on value. Subscribing to this channel is not another burden on your attention. It is the installation of a new operating system. It is the first subscription that finally works for you, instead of on you. Every insight here is a line of code in the sovereign revenue architecture you are building to replace the one they gave you. In the next tactical briefing, we are going to perform a teardown of the exact process of constructing ghost machinery, the first infrastructure of the platform you will own. We will move beyond the theory and show you how to turn sovereign revenue from a concept into a cash flow that requires no massive capital and no permission. It is time to stop auto-renewing your compliance. They enrolled you in a subscription before you could even read. They charged you 21% for the right to exist. They called you the customer while selling you as the inventory. And they made you thank them for the privilege every single month. But the prince doesn't subscribe to someone else's empire. The prince builds his own. Every subscriber the system loses is a platform owner the world gains. Today, you read the terms of service for the first time. Tomorrow, you write your own. This is not personal finance. This is platform inversion. And the unsubscribe button was always in your hands.